Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So, I will be your interview for today. So, without further ado, I will ask you the first question regarding the application. So, here's you are applying for a boxing coach position, right?
Yes.
So, can you tell us about your experience in boxing, both as a coach and as a practitioner?
Okay, so most of my experience is as a practitioner because I haven't officially started coaching yet. This would be my gateway into coaching. This would be my first position where I gain the experience necessary to start coaching. However, I've had a lot of experience teaching other subjects that are not to do with boxing. So, for example, I've assisted in teaching English, teaching small children. So I have quite a lot of experience teaching in general. And also competing in boxing, I also have a lot of experience in that. I've competed at a amateur, a semi-pro, won gold and silver medals in both. Also taken my experience in boxing into other striking sports. So I've also tried competing against Muay Thai fighters on the Muay Thai rules, MMA fighters on the MMA rules, kickboxers on the kickboxing rules. So I've managed to get a good grasp of the fundamentals of boxing, which works for all the different combat sports, and that combined with my teaching experience, I believe it will benefit boxing.
Okay, that's good. Okay, the next question. What is your coaching? So moving on to the next question. So what is your coaching philosophy and how do you motivate athletes to perform at their best?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
What is your coaching philosophy
My coaching
and
philosophy.
how do you motivate your players to perform at their best?
Okay, so that question is two parts. Firstly is what's my coaching philosophy? So my coaching philosophy would be to I'd focus on the basics and focus on building the mental side of the fighters. So I'd focus on giving them really, really good fundamentals. Their technique will be perfect, and also mentally prepare them through sparring different levels of opponents, so that mentally when they go into the competition, they are as mentally sound as they can be, so that they've had experience sparring against much higher level competitors, so that they have the confidence that their opponent is not going to be the same level as the guys they sparred with. But also have them have had experience sparring people who are their own level as well, so that they're used to being able to try things out and they have the confidence necessary. Because if they're only sparring against guys better than them, they won't really have they'll have the confidence in their defense, but they won't have the confidence in their offense. But by also sparring people their level lower, they'll have confidence in their offense. So my philosophy would be building the fighters' fundamentals and building their mentality. And the second half of the question was?
How do you motivate your athletes to perform at their best?
Okay. So the way that I would motivate them to perform at their best would be to always have like certain milestones. So I don't want them to become guys who train and compete once every 6 months, because like that there's not really any milestone for them to gauge their improvements. So I'd have regular competitions. Even if not all the athletes join, but a few of them will join. So even the ones who aren't joining, they can still compare themselves and use the ones who are competing as milestones for them to improve themselves and track their progress.
Okay. So moving on to the third question. How do you assess and improve a boxer's technique, such as footwork, defense, and striking accuracy?
Okay, so as I said earlier, by giving them regular competitions or having teammates who are competing regularly, that gives them a milestone needed to improve their technique. And then also what we'll do is we'll go through a film study of their competitions. So after they compete or sparring, we'll record every single one and we'll go through it with the athlete, so the athlete has access to it so that they can gauge whether they've improved, what they need to fix on, whether they drop their hands and they punch, what they need to fix. And that way they'll be able to keep track of their progress in specific details by rewatching back the film study.
Okay, the next question. How do you design training programs for boxers of different skill levels, from beginners to advanced fighters?
Okay, so actually it won't be too different the way that it's structured for beginners and for advanced fighters. So of course beginners will first need to learn the fundamentals, learn how to throw a jab, a cross, or a hook, how to defend things. There'll be a lot of defensive drills for beginners. And then they'd have pad work so that we can specifically see what the mistakes are, what needs to be fixed. But the majority of the training will be the same because even the advanced fighters, they need to work on their fundamentals as well to improve them. And both beginners and advanced fighters will also do a lot of really light sparring or ensure that the sparring is light so that they can work on their technique and get the timing and accuracy that they need. And then for the fighters who are planning to compete, if it's necessary, we'll also add in some hard sparring for them, because obviously you need to get used to the pressure of actually getting hit, and we'll get them comfortable with like being in the ring, having someone in front of them. But it's not too different. It's just before they're planning to compete, maybe the intensity will go up a bit of the sparring. But other than that, it'll be about the same.
Okay. So the fifth question will be about conditioning and injury prevention. So what strategies do you use to build physical conditioning while minimizing the risk of injury?
Okay. So the strategies we'll do for conditioning will be a lot of bad work to get the punch endurance. Obviously sparring, so they used to actually relaxing, so they don't use up all their energy in like a couple of combinations. And they'll also do jogging and skipping in their own time. But in order to ensure that they don't get injured, we will ensure the sparring is light, and we'll ensure they're always wearing hand wraps and proper gloves when they're hitting the bag. So the coach will be in charge of making sure of that. Make sure their technique is right so they don't like, hit their thumb on the overhand and fracture it or something. And make sure they wear the proper gear when sparring, shin pads, helmets, gloves, 16-ounce gloves of course, elbow pads. So yeah, mostly it'll be through making them wear the proper gear and making sure they wear everything correctly so that they don't expose themselves to the chance that they'll get injured.
Okay. So the sixth question related to conflict. How do you handle conflicts or disagreement with athletes or other staff members?
Okay, so what sort of conflicts? What sort of conflicts? Like fighters disagreeing with each other, or just in general?
I mean, whole team.
The whole team.
Maybe the players with the team members, other
Okay.
staff members.
So ensuring that the team members are like working together well as a team. So how will I ensure that?
But how about a player with a player, a fighter with a fighter?
So of course they will always be allowed to spar each other, but if they have a conflict with each other, maybe we will try and keep them separate, stop them from training with each other, sparring with each other, but we'll encourage them to meet outside of training time, so in a different environment, that they're not trying to hit each other. We'll try and let them meet each other in another environment, maybe after training, invite them to go and get some food or a drink so that they can interact with each other in different contexts, so that they get used to their interactions not being just about fighting.
Okay. So the seventh question. Do you hold any certifications relevant to boxing coaching? And how do you ensure the safety of your athletes during training?
Okay, so similarly to the earlier question that we were talking about, ensuring the safety through wearing the proper gear and ensuring everything is done correctly, and the coach will be monitoring to make sure nothing gets out of hand. In terms of certificates, not really, no. Most of the experience, I have like teaching experience certificates and actual combat sports certificates, but there's no coaching certificate yet. I will be doing that eventually.
Okay. So the eighth question. How do you adjust your training approach when working with boxers who have different goals, such as competition versus fitness? How do you do that?
Okay, so of course for boxers who aren't planning to compete, there won't be unless they request it. If they request it, then that's up to them. But the intensity will be lower, so mostly light sparring. Other than that, boxing is boxing. We'll still train them the same way, for fitness or for fighting. Just the only difference is they won't be getting hit in the head as much, and they won't be taking as much damage.
Very nice. So the next question, how familiar are you with maintaining and using boxing equipment, such as gloves, pads, and punching bags?
Okay, I'm very familiar with it because myself I prepared for about 30 or so competitions, so I've had to maintain my gloves, the gear I'm using, maintain the pads, before the fight, preparing your gear, wearing your hand wraps and mouth guards, molding the mouth guard to your teeth, making sure your shin pads don't go off, making sure the gloves don't get moldy or sting. All of that stuff I'm quite used to. Any boxer would be used to it because it's part of the experience.
For the last question of our interview, can you share a success story where your coaching significantly contributed to an athlete progress or achievement?
Yes, I was working with this one fighter, amateur guy. He had competed quite a number of times, but he had a big confidence issue, and he was really scared of getting leg kicked. So he got knocked out by a liver kick, and he started getting really scared of getting kicked. So I gave him specific training, and we did specific sparring to focus on that. And after a few weeks, he competed again, and his fear of leg kicks was gone. He was able to just take the kick and walk forward and counter, and since then, that guy hasn't had any issues with leg kicks.
Okay, that's all the question for our interview. So thank you for your time today, and we will contact you later.
Thank you. Did I get the job?